Today's 2-minute bass lesson deals with learning your fingerboard. Learning your fingerboard is not sexy at all. It's not flashy, but it's so vital to you becoming an expressive and free-playing musician. I teach often, and students want to focus on maybe some of the more exciting parts of playing, and I bring them back always to learning your fingerboard, because that really unlocks a lot of capabilities and makes difficult things much easier to play. Simply put, you can learn your fingerboard by memorizing the alphabet, the musical alphabet. A through G is our alphabet. Between B and C and E and F, they're half steps. Now what that means is that if I play a B, the C is always 1 fret higher in pitch. If I play an E, and 1/2 step higher is the F. Always. Those are the two intervals that are right next to each other. All the other intervals are separated by 2 frets. So if I play a C, the D is 2 frets higher. So if you memorize that simple formula, A through G is our alphabet, between B and C and E and F, you have a half step. Then things can start to work out, and you can actually start memorizing the fingerboard much more effectively. I like to do a thing called one-string vocalizations. And why it's called that is I'm going to play all the natural notes on one string, and I'm going to say the notes while I play them. And that's kind of important, because a lot of guys can memorize the half-step, whole-step formula, but unless you know the names of the note, you're really not getting the full value out of it. So here's how I would practice. Let's just say, for the sake of this 2-minute lesson, we'll just do the G string. You would play the open G, and you go A. Well, A is a whole step, so you play an A. Then you go B. B is a whole step from A, another whole step. Now, from B to C is a half step. That's one of the naturally occurring half steps. Then you go C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. E to F is another natural occurring half step. And then you have your G at the 12th fret. Now you know you've done it well and correctly if when you get to the 12th fret it's the same name, the note name is the same as the open string. If for some reason you say it's G and you're at the 13th fret or you're at the 11th fret, you know that somewhere you might have made a mistake. So what I have my students do is play each string up and down and say the notes while they're playing. Down is the real test, because we're not naturally gifted at saying the alphabet backwards. I don't care how many times you've had a DUI test. That's never natural. So if you start on the 12th fret and you say G, then you got to memorize, okay, well, between G and F is a whole step, F and E is a half step, E and D is a whole step, D and C is a whole step, C and B is a half step, then you got B and A is a whole step, and then A to G is a whole step. If you do that on each string, saying the notes as you play them, going up and down, just focusing on the natural notes, you're going to develop a better understanding of how the neck's laid out. Now, one last thing I would suggest is anytime you're stuck in line or waiting for somebody and you have a piece of paper and a pencil, just draw out a rough fingerboard and put all the frets in. So, you know, how many strings your bass has, 5, 6, 4, doesn't matter. Write out the strings and then put a bunch of hashes to make the fret marks, and then just write in the names of the notes. It's even more valuable that you don't have the bass in your hand. You're actually really just learning the patterns, and what's great is once you've written out all the notes, you can actually see where the octaves are, and it might kind of, you know, better imprint the layout of the fingerboard in your head. So learn your fingerboard. I promise you that if you spend the time learning the fingerboard and get very strong with that, a lot of your other aspects you're playing are going to just get that much better. Alright, so again, ask me any questions you like by emailing me at dalet@danabgoods.com, and I'll try to feature them in a future lesson. Thanks.